Welcome back to the Kumbi Jikku show on GK Sports India YouTube channel. And the World Cup is finally over with India creating history at the massive Narendra Modi Stadium in front of 86,000 plus spectators watching India win back-to-back titles 2024 under Rohit Sharma and now 2026 under Surya Kumar Yadav. No team has done this before, back-to-back winning successive titles and also at home. And mind you, third ICC T20 Men's World Cup, no team has won this many. India, world champions yet again. What a fantastic match. And in a way, it ended up as a one-sided affair. India winning handsomely against New Zealand. To discuss this and much more, K. Srinath, player turned umpire. Sri, how happy are you? How long did you celebrate the whole night after India's victory?
In fact, we were made to wait quite a long time for the trophy to be handed over to the Indian side. I think it was like an ordeal waiting for about 45-50 minutes. In fact, you were present at the venue and you would have been, anxiously waiting for the ceremony to happen. Yes, absolutely. As the tagline was on before the start of the World Cup, history repeat, history defeat. So I think India have proved, and as you said, 86,000 odd people yesterday in the conundrum. It was a magical sight to watch on television. It was a sea of blue, and aptly two teams that deservedly to be in the finals were out there. And the end of it, it looked like only one team turned out on the park, and winning by 96 runs in a final in a T20 game is something massive. Certainly, even India wouldn't have dreamed that they would have had such an easy victory against a quality side like New Zealand. Extremely happy. In the last 3 years, India has done wonders. The Champions Trophy, followed by the T20 World Cup. Now again winning the T20 World Cup. The only glitch was the loss in 2023 in the ODI World Cup. Apart from that, recently the India under-19 boys winning the World Cup. We had the girls winning the under-19 T20 World Cup. Recently, the Indian women pulling off the ODI World Cup. I mean, what else can you ask for? Six ICC titles in a span of 3 years. That speaks volume of the sort of talent we have in our country across age groups, across genders. A great day for Indian cricket. And as always, we were discussing before the start of the World Cup, the tag of firm favorites, how would it play on India? I think they came out trumps in all departments.
And certainly playing a home World Cup and winning that involves a lot of pressure of the height of expectations. But India put aside all that and quietly went about, I won't say quietly went about business, they did make some noise and eventually deserving winners. Shri, looking at it, 255 for 5, India put into bat. Did New Zealand err in bowling first?
This pattern of depending too much on toss and keeping in mind the due factor, I think it is working too much on many of the teams that travel to India. You need to back your instincts. You need to back the strengths of your team. I always believed, and even I would say maybe 5 years down the line, that how much ever the dynamics of the game might change, how much ever power hitting might come in, the ability to hit long sixes might come in. But when you get to a knockout stage of a world event, the pressure always is to chase down those runs. Now, if New Zealand had put up runs on board, even it could be a 180, 190 in a final, that would have added another 20, 30 on the scoreboard for India to chase down. And every day cannot be a day where India did chase down 194 against West Indies in a virtual quarterfinal at the Eden. It just cannot be happening every other day. Well, end of it, they might have sat back and reflected, saying 255 was just far too many. And whatever sort of off day any of the bowlers might have in the opponent, that's too far an ask. You're looking at about more than 12 and a half, 13 runs to start with. And you have an ordinary power play. I think you're out of the game straight away. Whichever side it might be, it could be in Australia, it could be in India. Surya was, very happily saying that we also look to bat first. I mean, you lose the toss, you have no choice. You always say that. Mind you, as India might have had the confidence of batting first. Again, they didn't have a choice. England won the toss at the semi-finals. Maybe if Surya had won the toss in the final, he might have even chased. So you never know. So end of it all went for India, having lost two important tosses. But dew didn't come in at all because they had used the anti-dew spray for about 2-3 days before the start of the game, which did have a good enough effect. And end of the day, whatever dew, no dew, end of the day, it's about the skill, maintaining your calmness, rising above the pressure. I mean, that's what India is known well for.
And and rising to the occasion, we had Sanju Samson doing it not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row, nearing 100, but selflessly played for the country, not aiming for that triple-digit score, which has been the mantra for this Indian team, especially in the last couple of years. Gautam Gambhir was saying at the post-match that if there was somebody who was at 94, it takes 4 balls to score, reach 100, that is not on. 94, go for a 6, even if he gets out, that is much appreciated. That is what this Indian team is all about. How good was Sanju Samson, especially after not being among, not I won't say among runs, but he was getting his 20s, but not the kind of runs that he is known to get. But that 97, 88, and then 89 against New Zealand in the final. Superb, isn't it? Just those 3 knocks, good enough to get the player of the award, player of the tournament award at the end.
Absolutely. I think the resurgence of Sanju, what we've seen, he's been around international cricket for long enough. He's never ever lived up to the expectations of his own self, nor his, supporters. I think we say, come at the hour, come at the man. I mean, what better situation did, Sanju require to come up? And he laid the platform on all the 3 occasions, which I think was the key in India pulling it off. Be it West Indies, England, or against New Zealand in the final. Hats off! It's a story of like rags to riches. So not only Sanju, I would like to add even the name of Ishan Kishan. A couple of years back, he was in wilderness and was pulled up for a lot of disciplinary activities, and the sort of turnaround which happened, and he got runs by tons in the Mushtaq Ali, led Jharkhand to the victory there. And also, I would like to mention kudos to the selectors for having showed faith and picked Ishan out of the red-hot form he was in the Mushtaq Ali, and even backed Sanju to the hilt. Many a times on many platforms we speak and we always are critical about the selection committee. The job of a selector is not easy. In a country where we have 140 crore population, you have close to a crore of people playing, and there are a pool of about 100 odd players. You need to pick 15 out. I think it's a tough job, and certainly credit should go to the selectors for having picked the right side. They had the luxury because it was a tournament hosted by BCCI, so they showed faith in a lot of players. And I think end of it, the players also delivered. And I think a pat on the back for the selection committee also for having picked the right 15 for this World Cup.
Also a pat on the back for Jasprit Bumrah, second consecutive high octane match. And when runs were being scored like crazy, he came up with something like 4 wickets and almost gave nothing in the end, isn't it? 1 wicket in the power play and 3 in the end to polish off the Kiwis.
I mean, he is somebody I don't think anybody can dissect what he does. Humility, the way he stays grounded, just goes about his job, unnoticed. 4 overs, 15 runs, 3 wickets. And mind you, to do that in a final, before that, the 16th and 18th over, where England were going at 14, 15 and over, he just comes and bowls 6 and 8 runs, 2 overs in the death. I mean, it is his mental strength is, I think, something beyond imagination. He's got all the tricks up his sleeve. There are many bowlers in world cricket who've got a lot of variations and they've got tricks up their sleeve. But when it comes to execution under pressure, can they deliver is the question. Pace off the ball, he's nailing those Yorkers. All the 3 batters whom he bowled out, Mitchell Santner, could have been Matt Henry, all were slower balls. They dipped on the batter and he hit the timber. Imagine the amount of practice that has gone in. Time and again, the same deliveries he's repeated. And he mentioned saying that he's known this ground, which is his backyard. The more faster you bowl, he said the ball is going to disappear that much faster. So he used all his tricks very, very cleverly. And I think that 4 overs of Bumrah is like nothing. So the opponent, when they were chasing those 256, they had to get those runs in 16 overs. As simple as that. Any team which plays against India with Bumrah in the side, if they are chasing a target, they have to do it in 16 overs because you're not going to get anything out of the 4 overs of Jasprit Bumrah.
And certainly India just went about hitting almost everything after 2 quiet overs, if one can say, against first against Matt Henry and then Glenn Phillips. Then India had 6 20-plus runs overs, and New Zealand didn't get any of that at all. So that made a huge difference, and of course Bumrah magic. Shri, this overall T20 World Cup, India winning the third title, which no team has done before. What can this victory in particular do to Indian cricket? As it is just rising and rising. The IPL cricket has done phenomenally to get people interested in cricket. What can this add to where Indian cricket is?
Said IPL, I think IPL is the formula basically which is given them this sort of stepping stone to express themselves in the international level. The pressure they face, the crowds that come in, those big run chases, that helps these cricketers prepare so well. And mind you, these current 15 players who were there in the World Cup squad, all of them have been part of IPL for many, many years. Could be as long as 10, 12 years, some for the last 5, 6 years. That's made them that much strong to come out and play with the fearless brand of cricket. And in the last 2 years, like Surya Kumar Yadav said, after the baton was passed on in 2024, post the World Cup win in Barbados from Rohit Sharma to Sky, he said, we as a team decided to play a different brand of cricket. It was team over individual. I think that's something that's done wonders. I think this current Indian team and moving forward in the future with the sort of reserves we have is unstoppable, and they have cornered every situation. If you look at the overall scenario, barring Sanju picking up 2 man of the match awards in the last 2 games and the final going to Bumrah, the rest of the games we had different players put up their hand and getting the man of the match awards. That showed that whatever occasion came, when the chips were down, there was one player who put up his hand. I think that is the sort of credibility that these players have, and that's the atmosphere that is there in the current dressing room. I think it's just going to get more and more better and more complicated for the opponents around the world when they play India. A power play of 98, unimaginable in a final. So we were talking about 300s. Maybe the final could have seen that 300. It's a game of cricket, and you have an opponent who's qualified for the final good enough. So they had to pull it back and get it to that. But overall, I think it's going to enthuse more young cricketers to take up to this sport, and particularly, to the shortest format. I think it's done wonders for the cricketing public around the world.
And this setup has also been backing players, even if they have failed, like we have seen with Abhishek Sharma. And we heard Gautam Gambhir speak about selecting players on faith and trust and not on just hope that they perform. So finally, we had the top 3 score 50s, and that laid a big platform for a huge win in the final. This 10th edition of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup just gone by. We had 20 teams, Sri, including teams from Italy, Nepal, of course, USA for the second time, Zimbabwe again back in the World Cup fold. We had Oman. How much would they have benefited in terms of experience? And you think it is fair enough to get them play regularly against full nations so they get more exposure and become better teams?
Absolutely. The sort of performances we got to see from the associate nations, what we call, would be Nepal, who pulled it off almost against England. Italy getting a victory under the belt, UAE doing pretty well, Oman, of course, Netherlands, Ireland, USA. It was a fascinating experience, and it was wonderful to watch these players, not being overawed or daunted by the so-called big wigs in the world cricket. Uh, it was a fantastic tournament organized overall because logistically one half of the tournament, or three groups played in India and one in Sri Lanka, where we had a couple of washouts in Sri Lanka because of weather. Otherwise, the way things were connected, I think it was a fabulous tournament. And overall, if you look at the sort of viewership that they had across the world, I think we can proudly say that this has become a global event. This has become a global tournament, and cricket is no longer a sport which was dominated maybe by an England, Australia, or the subcontinent. It's moved pan world. Having said that, it's up to the ICC to formulate a policy wherein they can get these associate teams to more often, at least, if not in any other format, in the T20 format, to lock horns against the regular test playing nations. How can they do that with the sort of cramped calendar of the FTP is a big question mark. Maybe they can look at having the olden days, what we used to see, the triangular and quadrangulars. If it's a quadrangular, have to associate nations to test playing nations, play over a week or 10 days time in the T20 format so that they get experiences. If you look at the likes of UAE, they have a franchisee league going on there. Canada has their own Premier League. We have a lot of players from Italy playing either in the Big Bash or they play in England. So Nepal runs a franchisee league. So most of these cricketers who are part of the European countries, or it could be Scotland or Ireland, most of these people come and play in the UK. So they're not short of cricket per se, but it's about infrastructure. How can they get better infrastructure for the players to train? Because I did hear a story when I was in broadcast in Mumbai that the Italians were upset, Namibia rather, were upset that they couldn't get two sessions under lights. They said, we don't have any ground which has got lights in Namibia. So how does ICC look at this in a broader perspective? Try to get these teams, because they play a qualifier again next year. Then again, if they qualify, they get back after 2 years to play in this mega event. So is this the 2 year window for them to lock horns with the big wigs, or how is it possible for them to at least play a couple of big wigs annually, so that they up the ante, get better on their games, and they would have learned hell a lot from what they did get to play in this tournament. I think it was a win-win situation. Fans in India also got to see some of the teams put up good performances, and many of them would certainly be in the radar of the IPL scouts, mind you. That's the biggest gain for them.
And certainly, during the World Cup, we heard a couple of captains from the associate nations saying that it would be nice if the full member nations visited them when they were, say, for example, if England was touring in England, India was touring England, they could have a couple of games in Scotland or around work around those things. But one possibility is have the A teams of these regular nations have them across, so they get as good a experience as they get with the bigger nations. So now, what next to expect, Sri? Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, I think you made a very valid point. Teams like South Africa, India, England, Australia, they can have their A sides as preparatory, which to get into the national sides. They can tour places like Scotland, Ireland, or be it Zimbabwe, and play against their national sides. Or if they have time, even they can play the shortest format of T20 cricket against teams like Nepal or UAE or Oman. That would because most of these cricketers who play in their A sides are good enough to get into their national sides. Even that could be an option. So certainly they would mull on it moving forward, because this event has gone on so well. Certainly ICC would think on these lines and, say that they still need to spread their wings in good cricket going into many more places. I think this certainly would be a worthwhile look into it.
The World Cup is over, Sri. What next? We were glued to the TV sets or at the venues the last 5 weeks. There was a match, if not two, on all the days. Now we have a gap of about, say, 2.5 weeks before IPL begins. How are you going to spend your evening, Sri?
Maybe watch a couple of highlights for a couple of days to just sink in. Yeah, it was a grand event, very well organized, and we had games on most of the days. In fact, till the league stage, I think 39 games. We had triple headers. We had a game at 11, we had a game at 3, and we had the last game starting at 7. So it was a festival bonanza. I think the eyes, the mind, the heart also needs a break for some time. We've watched some high octane cricket, some edge of the seat thrillers. So we need to take a break, regenerate, and come. I think maybe May 28th is what March 28th is what I hear. They're planning to kickstart the IPL. So from there, it's a 2.5 month bonanza. So again, the evenings from 7, we are going to be glued to television sets. Weekends would be double headers. So busy life. And I think in June, the Women World Cup, T20 World Cup is happening in England, where India would be locking horns there, 2 groups. A lot of cricket to follow. So we just take a small break after this and maybe connect again with more activity happening during the IPL.
Certainly, yes. And before signing off, Sri, if you are asked to pick up one memorable moment or one moment from this World Cup that you will cherish forever, what would that be?
Well, obviously, it's going to be the sight of the Indian team on the podium with the trophy. To me, the Afghanistan South Africa game in Ahmedabad, where that was the only game where we had a double super over. I think that one game, for many reasons, will remain etched in my memory for a very, very long time. Because before the start of this World Cup, I had picked Afghanistan as one of the teams that would make the top 4. Unfortunately, their group was what we called as the group of death, which had New Zealand and South Africa. When the rub of the green doesn't go your way, that's what happens. Up front, they played both New Zealand and South Africa and lost both the games. So that's how, when they didn't make it. But that's one game, and those 2 double super overs will certainly be there in my mind.
And my pick will always be until the Akshar Patel catches, especially the one of their captain Harry Brook, who had earlier dropped Sanju Samson when he was 15, and he was not that lucky when Akshar Patel ran all that way. Of course, you cannot help but remember or be reminded of that Kapil catch of 83 World Cup. And also, he followed it up with another excellent effort in the boundary line. Imagine, but for that, if we had not caught it, Will Jacks would still have been batting, and you would not have had an India-New Zealand final. Anyway, so those 2 stand in mind. Those 2 catches of Akshar stand in mind, among many other things. But just to pick up one, that will be my number 1 moment of this World Cup. Of course, holding the trophy from on the podium. That's there. That is a sight that we always cherish. Wonderful. Thank you, Sri. Thank you for taking along our viewers in this entire duration of the World Cup. Wonderful listening to you. Your insights, fantastic. Looking forward to many such in the upcoming IPL season. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.